All right, here we go on some math that looks kind of intimidating, but it's really not nearly as intimidating as you might think. So this is Unit 4.4, Mathematical Modeling. You need to be sure that you look at the PowerPoint here. You can do that on your own time. There's no point in me reading that to you. So the first problem says, giving the following data, determine a mathematical model for the amount of rain that runs off the ground into surrounding waterways with respect to the amount of rain that falls on the ground. So this is pretty simple. It says use Excel to create a scatter plot. This is much simpler than you think. So first of all, I open Excel and then I type everything in here. Now, after I've got it all typed in, I select the data that I want, and it wants us to create this as a function of. So that's how we know that we're going to go ahead and select this data. And then we're going to go to the Insert tab and the Scatterplot tab and choose just a plain Scatterplot. Now look how quickly that happened. So life is easy, right? It also wants us to put in a trend line, which is also so easy. Add chart elements, trend line, linear. There we go. We've got our trend line. So what might have seemed like it was really intimidating is really not intimidating. Now, it wants us to go ahead and do some things with titles and to identify the axes. So I'm going to full screen this so that we get all of our menus and then add chart element, axis titles. Let's do primary vertical, and all we have to do is click in it and we can type what it is. A little bit weird typing on your side. Okay, so this is the higher numbers, which are over here. So let me show you, move it out of the way. That wasn't good. I lost it. Okay, well, I'll put it right back in there. So nothing to worry about. Things can all be added. Oh, Control Z. There we go. Okay, here. So this is our estimated mean annual rainfall, and this is our runoff. And you could tell by the range of the data values if you don't know what it is you put in where. So I'm going to add that chart element right back. Axis titles, primary horizontal. This is the bottom one now. If I click in here, highlight the existing text and type average. If you want your chart to look professional, use title case, which is you capitalize every important word. Is per inch important? Oh, yeah. In inches. We always put our units, right? Right. Okay, click off of that. Now I'm going to go to Add Chart Elements, Axis Titles, Primary Vertical, click inside, and it's real weird whenever you have to do it on the side like that. But if you can type without looking at the keyboard, I know what it's supposed to say. There we go. And I would go back in and I would put this in title case. That just looks sloppy. Oh, you know what it did? It grabbed that average annual runoff as our title. Is that really our title? This title should be estimated or mean versus average, or mean versus average rainfall. Runoff. There we go. I like that better. And what else did it say that we wanted? It said, be sure to use column headings. You don't need to include a piece of the pie. Okay. So there you go. It's that quick. And there we go. Add a trend unit, and it should look like this. Oh, runoff versus rainfall. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, average annual, estimated. There we go. We've got it. We have different, there we go. We used different little figures here. That really doesn't matter whether you use dots or you use the triangles that they did. It makes no difference at all. So our next problem, and it asks you to, we'll just leave that open in Excel. Where are you going to save your file? Do you think maybe the persistent drive? Save as. And we're going to go browse. And we're going to go to data. And then if you don't already have a folder with your name on it, you're going to click the new button folder. And you're going to put your name on it. And then you're going to save it in that. Okay? 4 notes. I've already named mine. Do it 4-4 or 4-3, 4-2. You'll be able to find whatever you need as soon as you want it. And then I hit open and save. So there you go. That one is done. We saved it now because that way when we're finished, we hit save again and we don't have to worry about losing it. So it wants to know what is the domain of the function, what values of W make sense. So if W is the amount of rainfall, can you have a negative rainfall? No, you can't. So it would never be negative on either one of these. So 0 and 0 is most definitely where it's going to exist. So is there really a limit to how much rain you could have? You might think that there is, but there's really not. I think in Brenham about 2 years ago, they got 10 inches of rain in an hour. That is a lot of rain. As you can imagine, they had a lot of fun of flooding. So I want you to think about these things. What is the slope of your trend line? Explain the interpretation of the slope in words. Now, how do you find slope? Guess what? I don't remember how to find slope. So what do? I go to Google. Look what I get when I go to Google. Step 1, identify 2 points on the line. 15 and 8, 10 and 7 on a straight line. So on ours, we can find 2 points of a line right here. 40 and 14.1. Which one is X and which one is Y, though? The 40 is Y, isn't it? And the 14.1 is X. And then we use those 2 points to calculate the slope. So we put y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, and then we exchange the numbers in that point for that is our formula, and we get, in this case, the 1 over 5. So you can do that. Okay, now the next thing that it wants is the range of the function, the slope of the trend line, and then estimate the runoff amount if the annual rainfall amount is 54 inches. So 54 inches is beyond the graph. So 54 would be like 50, 40. Let's go over here to hours. It won't make any difference. So we would be going, if it goes in a straight line to 54, it's going to be up here. And I would say that that's where you estimate what it is. But if 54 is right here on this line and I project that line up there and estimate what that is by coming over to this scale, then I know. Would you describe the relationship between annual rain or annual runoff and estimated rainfall as a strong correlation, a weak correlation, or neither? Now, what does it mean if it has a strong correlation or a weak correlation? It means, are they related to each other? That would be a strong correlation, so you decide. So it wants you to rewrite the equation of a trend line using function notation where R of W represents annual rainfall. So we want the equation of the line. How are we going to get the equation of the line? We're going to use the slope and use the slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. I didn't remember. Guess what? It's on Google, where M is the slope of the line and B is the y-intercept of the line, or the y-coordinate of the point which crosses the y-axis. You can do this. Just go back to your algebra. All right, that gets you through that one. Now it wants a mathematical model to represent the minimum jump height of a BMX bike as a function of bike weight. Now, I showed you how to do the other one. You're going to use the same method of doing it as you did with the other one. And you're going to create that. And here is that nice little graph. So easy. You can do this. And then it wants you to have the table of the data, scatterplot, trend line. And then it wants you to write the equation. Again, you're going to have to figure out the slope, look up finding the slope of a line if you don't remember how. And then you're going to have to write the equation for the line. If you don't remember how, look it up. And then it says, if a minimum jump height of 89 inches is 89.7 is recorded, project the estimated weight of the bike. So 89.7, if I look at my graph, and 89.7 is just a little bit higher than this. So you look for where 89.7 would cross. And if we make this bigger, it's a little bit easier to tell maybe. So this looks to me like it's at about 0.5. So 0.7 would be about here. And then we would just go down to the weight and say maybe 18 pounds. But you get it closer because that was a very rough, fast estimate I just gave you. And then answer these other questions and you can do it. And be sure you answer the conclusion sections in your journal. And we will print out your graphs and put them in the journal. And then you will show them to me that you actually did it. And just so you know, there is metadata in your files and I can find out who created the files, so don't even think about sharing files. Alrighty, well that gets you through activity 5.4.5. Hallelujah. It's not hard, is it? It does take time and it does require you to actually think.